Hi, my name is Rio Waller, and I want to welcome you to CIT28 Client Server Databases here at Fresno City College. This is a 100% online 18-week 3-unit course. And for some of you, this is the beginning of your adventure into possibly web development, which is my area, possibly data analytics, possibly some other major that I'm not completely aware of that requires this class. So I'm glad you're here. And when you hear the term client server database, you might wonder, what does that mean? So I thought, you know what? Let's start with an example, right? Online banking. You're a customer, you're at a web browser, right? You request some information from your bank. That mechanism to get that information to you has been done through some type of database, and you're the, well, we could actually consider you the client, but also the browser is the client and then the database. But in this class, there's quite a bit of things that go into that complete stack. So the focus of this class is the language, the programming language, SQL, structured query language, that would then go out and get that banking data and deliver it back to, in this case, the user via the client via a web page. Now, you don't need to know every bit of that stack, because that stack, or the platform of all the things that hits, we're going to focus on the SQL part of that. So I thought in my other tab, I'd ask the question today, right? SQL skills demand. And you can see that in this case, SQL skills can hit many different disciplines: data science, business analyst, engineers, developers. And then I thought I'd come down and say, are they in demand? And this is actually a really good thing for you to know going into this course. This skill set for SQL is really in demand because it is really how we talk to databases, and pretty much all information in our world is stored in a database. And so you having the ability to write code that brings data to some kind of client, whether that be a browser or a web app or a native app, right, on our phones. So wherever that is, being able to write that piece of the requirements for there is really, really helpful. Okay, so this course, in some senses, I think it's probably not named correctly, because when you hear client server databases, most of you will not have a reference, but some of you might. But that really refers to the entire stack, and we're going to focus on one piece of that stack, which is the SQL part. So, and many times when I'm introducing this class for the week, I will say, welcome to Introduction to SQL, and not Introduction to Client Server Databases, because we're focused on one aspect of that. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give you a quick overview of the course, make some suggestions about how you move through just the course in general, but let's get started. So the first thing you can see is in Canvas, you've already been here. You've already clicked on really the only thing that you could have, which was the welcome. Okay, and what that immediately starts to show you is that this course is based on or is set up such that, and that's I'm really kind of jumping to here, how this course is set up, is in a sequential mode, which means you need to work through it in order. You have to complete the items I've laid out in order to advance into the course, and that's really important when we're looking at skilled skilled based courses. Okay, so that's how my course is set up. If you happen to be taking, and actually I just realized I didn't have this in here, but I don't recommend in general, and this is kind of like, why are we starting with this? For those students who happen to also be enrolled in CIT 93, which is my JavaScript class, I don't recommend taking this class and 93 together. They're just both have a certain rigor to them, and taking them at the same time is a real challenge. And if students are taking 82, which is Intro to Web, and this one's probably fine. But if you want to know more about that, let me know. Okay, so I started by talking about, what is client server, talking about SQL. So here's some other good news about this course. There is no requirement for you to purchase anything in this course. It's completely what we call open, OER, open educational resources. I lean upon a course from Harvard called CS50, which is actually an umbrella term for, or an umbrella course for them that encapsulates many different courses, but we're going to focus on the SQL course from them. I just started teaching this particular class last semester, so everything that I have learned through watching students move through that course last semester, I will be changing this semester, because anytime you do something the first time, the second time you do it, you learn so much. You can make it better, which, by the way, is a really good thing to think about as it relates to learning a skill. Okay, iteration, iteration, iteration. Now, in the day and age that we all live in, it is almost inescapable not to talk about how generative AI, ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, and the like, because there are definitely many variations now, is affecting this field and really all technical fields. And the thing I would tell you is that what you want to gain from this class is the skill, right? And the analytical ability to read a problem, break that problem down, and write SQL to solve that problem. Now, using one of these generative AIs, and you're going to see me talk about this in more detail as we go through the course, is definitely something you can do to help you learn. But to do your work for you will not give you the knowledge and the problem solving skills that you really need to then advance into other technical areas, because they are still needed. And I know one of the things, and this is a fairly common question I get these days, is this still relevant? And the answer is absolutely. But you do need to have, as with anything, to advance your skill level. In order to do that, you have to have this fundamental skill. Okay, so I kind of jumped off there to just to give you, set the tone that I understand, I use. As a matter of fact, you're going to use a product I've helped create, integrated into Canvas this semester for reviews. And I'll talk more about those, but actually that kind of leads to the next item, which is the type of graded items for this class. So I have attendance every week. At the beginning of the week, I'll cover what's happening that week, and then I will generally give you also some other type of little mini thing to do, little mini project. It's not a huge thing for you to accomplish, but I use this for my campus reporting of attendance, but also to help engage you in the process. Okay, and then you're going to have code alongs, and now these will be related to the Harvard course. So what we're going to be doing is watching Carter Zanke, who from Harvard. Matter of fact, I have it linked over here. All right, so here's the landing page for this. And I'll talk more about that. You can actually sign up for their AI product, which I'm going to recommend as we get into the course starting in week 2. But Carter, we will probably make it through querying, relating, designing, writing, viewing. And I don't know about these last two because I covered them last time, and I'm not sure I'm going to do it this time. But if we get through to viewing, these are such important core concepts, and it'll be great that we get through them. So in addition, so you'll code along. I'll give you specific instructions for how I want you to not just watch the lectures from Harvard, from Carter, but also to take notes. And you'll be writing queries starting in week 2. And then you'll have a problem set also from Harvard, okay? So that problem set, and you can see this over here if you just wanted to look at it. If I go into querying, you can see that the first problem set here is actually, which one is it? Cyber Chase. This was a fun one. Okay, every one of them have a different theme, but it's basically taking what you're learning, giving you some problem sets to work through. Okay, then for each end of the week, starting in week 2, you will have a review where I take what you've learned as far as SQL commands, and I will give you an interactive interactive AI-based review to actually get you to see how well did you translate, the code along and the problem sets. And I'll talk more about that as we move along. And then the last item for this class is a technical review. So each student in this class, right, will be I almost don't want to say it this way, but I'm going to. And I say each student because this accounts for 25% of the grade for the class, which, by the way, I recommend going into Simple Syllabus to check out more detail about the stuff I've been referring to here. But that 25% comes from you coming into a session with me starting at week 10 going all the way to week 17. The sooner you do it, the better. Where based on what we've learned, I'll give you some problems, like a mini version of the problem set for you to code. So what this means is if you're relying on the generative AI tools to do the work for you vis-a-vis the problem sets, then coming into a code review and doing the reviews will be much more challenging. You use the problem sets as a way to start building your skill. Now, I'll talk more about this. Actually, I think I'll leave that there, more on that later. But the technical interview, just know that the reason I do a technical interview in the day and age we're in, it's almost impossible for me to clearly assess how well students are translating the knowledge and skill for themselves. And this, as we've said, is a very important class for many different disciplines. Okay, so that's your overview of the class. I am going to show you what you're going to need to get started. This first welcome is actually an assignment. So what you're going to need to do here is I use a system called Git, which is a version control, and this is one of those really good skills to gain in your toolbox to advance your career, because almost everyone who does anything right now is using Git and GitHub. So Git is the software where we version control things, code, and then GitHub is where we publish those. So in order for you to get working on this class, too many uses of the word, not GIT, but GET, to get started on this class, you have to have a user account. So in here is the GitHub. Now I think I'm already signed in, but actually what I will do is actually go sign out here. So I'm going to sign out. So what you will do is go in here and sign up. Now, if you happen to have a GitHub username you want to use, no problem. But you need to actually sign up if you don't. And then you'll need to, as this assignment, give me that GitHub username. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you into and I'm going to change the tab here, into a part of GitHub that is just for our class. So you will have, once you create your account, your own space on GitHub. But for this class, we will use a course organization, or an organization they call them on GitHub, which is basically, again, just a space for us. But in order for me to invite you, and you have to accept the invite, you're going to need that username. Okay, so here's what you do here. It just, once you get that username, again, too many times using Git, then as an example, here's my GitHub username. Right, so once you go through the sign up process, right, at the end of that, and you can use whichever email account, you don't have to use your campus email account, and it is completely free. So if somewhere along the line they try to say, hey, want to get a paid account, don't do it. You don't have to. It's a free service that we are going to use in multiple ways for this course, which I will talk about, okay, as we get there. Okay, so now once you hit submit, I just want to show you what happens in the course. This nice little confetti. But also you can hit next, but I want to show you just from the course perspective, so you start to get used to this. Is like, now the red icon means you've started the items here. Now you have access to the next one, which is the course the course Discord, and this is just view. Only thing you have to do is come in here and view the video, which I would recommend you do. And then once you do that, you will then have week 1 open to you. So again, hopefully this gives you that idea of the way this course works and how you need to work through the course. I'm glad you're here. My office hours are listed in Simple Syllabus. I highly recommend you come and see me. I highly recommend you check out the Simple Syllabus because there are some things in there you definitely want to know about. Stuff I'll sprinkle through our attendance just to make sure you're aware, but the sooner, because it may answer some questions, but you're also free to reach out to me as well. Use Canvas to contact me. Don't use my campus email. Canvas inbox is the best way to get in touch with me. All right, glad you're here. And now you can move on to that next one and then move on to week 1, which I will talk about the importance of moving through the timing on week 1 in that video. See you later.